Seibs, watching the little snippet coming out of the break there and watching blokes like Michael and David Riccio discussing Anthony Griffin's situation at the moment, having been through the ride that you've been on as a coach, the highs and the lows, what goes through your mind when you see what's unfolding for Hook at the Dragons at the moment?
Obviously a really challenging situation. You know, and Gus would know this, at times as a head coach you can feel quite isolated, because at the end of the day you're the person who is responsible for the team's performances. The players go out on the field, but the buck stops with the head coach. So having been in difficult situations in the past, it's not great fun. So I feel for Anthony Griffin and,
Sebs, if they get to the point where they're not going to sign him for next year, I'm not sure if you've been in that situation before. Do you see the contract out or try and see the year out, or are you better off just putting your hands up and saying, get someone else in, try and rebuild the roster?
Well, the situation I was in at Brisbane, I made that call myself. I had a number of years left in my contract, but I just thought it wasn't going to get any better in the short term. So I put my hand up, Gal, and said, look, I think someone needs to come in and take this forward. I think my time's done.
So the Dragons have decided to... Their theory is if we be transparent, it's the right way to handle this. We should tell him that he's off contract at the end of the year. There's no guarantee to be here, and we want to do our homework to see what else is out there. As a coach, do you appreciate that method, or would you rather have just no one said anything to you and then they can do their thing behind your back?
Look, I'd rather transparency. There's no doubt about that. Not knowing the situation there, whether Hook's been told he needs to apply for his job or his position again, but if he has been, that's not a great conversation. But you'd rather be told up front. There's no doubt about that.
Well, I said last week, he hasn't been told not to apply. Right? He hasn't been told you won't get the job. Right? He hasn't been told don't come Monday. All he said is that we're going to look for the best option going forward, and he's the incumbent coach. He's the one that gets to impress and prove that he's the man. It'd be different if they said we're looking for a new coach and you're not going to be it. They haven't said that, have they? So they've said you're in the mix.
How many weeks, if things continue like they get 40 put on last week, 40 again last night?
Well, history shows clubs don't persevere too long with that.
So do you think if you're at the Dogs, if you've got a coach in that situation, how long do you persevere?
I had one resign last year for exactly that reason.
But the thing is with the Dragons, though...
There's a lot of pressure on them, mate.
I've got no doubt.
If you're going to take on one of these jobs, you want to take on a head coach job in today's world, with social media the way it is and the way that everyone reacts to media and the way the boards and sponsors and fans and everyone else reacts to losing situations, all right? And they're entitled to. But if you want to take on this job, understand that this is a big part of it, right? And you need to sign up with a club that can surround you and support you in that environment, all right? So that you can just concentrate on what you need to do and you don't have to worry about everybody else. And as we've seen, it's got the better of a lot of good people. And when you talk to them, it's not the football that beats them. It's not the coaching. It's not the attack, the defence or the strategy and all that sort of thing. They know the game. It's everything else around it. Boards and sponsors and media and salary caps and all sorts of things that they've got to deal with in their life because the club is not set up to handle that for them. All right? It's not the football that beats them. They're all smart blokes. They're all good coaches in their own right. But this will eat you up, the pressure that's involved in coaching NRL these days.